He thinks
Well,
I'm
I've
too
got good
important.
news. Tom has
What?
joined us.
Yeah, Tom's
Yay!
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Tom,
How's everybody
Hi,
doing?
Tommy.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
That's good.
Good.
So I'm
Hey,
driving
I'm fine.
There you
to my
are.
office
Wait,
so
wait a
that I
minute.
could
Are you
talk to
crazy?
you about internet and social media safety. So while I'm sitting at the light, where would you like to begin? Should we do social media first? You want to do social media, internet? What's your interest?
I'll
Doesn't
do
matter.
regular social
Whatever
media.
works for you. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Great, Tom, why don't we start with social media? I think I heard that response a lot.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, fantastic. So let's
I have to mute
let's
myself.
talk about social media since that is kind of a hot topic. Everybody seems to be using it.
I don't know. I'm
Whether
not.
we're using Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, first and foremost, never ever give anybody out your personal information. It shouldn't even be posted anywhere. I know there are sections in Facebook where you could put your date of birth, you could put phone numbers. Highly discouraged stuff like that, and for several reasons.
I don't do Facebook. I get my own pictures.
Okay, everybody,
Okay.
let's hear Tom talk, and then we'll ask questions afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Deb, if you want, since you're the host, if you want to mute everyone except for me, and
Yep.
then we can unmute them to ask questions, that'll be great.
Yep, let me do that. Oops.
Sorry about that.
Hold on, here we go.
All right, so we good? Okay, so regardless of whether we're using whichever platform, mostly all platforms operate the same way, where you can put in some personal information regarding yourself. But one of the reasons we talk about this even to our college kids, because of the high increase in identity theft and scams and phishing schemes that are going on, not only in Connecticut, but around the country and around the world, is one of the most important pieces to identity theft is someone's date of birth. Because it's found almost everywhere. It's linked to just about everything that you have. Your social security number, it's your credit card accounts, anything that you would have open, whether it's you, whether it's your family, it's all the same thing. So we discourage everybody from leaving personal information. There was a concern about joining groups or joining events. And for the most part, as long as you know the people who are either putting together the group or are in that group, I find it to be that there's really no issues. The issue comes when you're starting to join groups for people that you don't know, just because they're using buzzwords that you are familiar with, such as Special Olympics, law enforcement, fundraising, things of that nature. So just be careful when you are online. And I'm just logging in right now so I can pull up some of my notes. Just be careful when you are logging in or joining these groups, that these groups are people you recognize. Like if I started a group today that was called Global Messengers on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, well, you know me, so you most likely would join that group because Global Messenger would be a buzzword amongst our group. But if somebody else that you never heard of or saw before put something together called Global Messengers, you should really think twice about joining that group, especially when you don't know it. So we talk about your date of birth. Don't use your phone number. Don't put your physical home address. anywhere that could be found within your personal information. The other thing we talk about too is, who do you accept as friends? Are they just anybody? Do you just accept people that you know? So we want to make sure that we're not just accepting people, accepting friends, or trying to build your friend contact just for the sake of I want to build my network, right? Make sure the network that you do build are really people that you know, not just know of, all right? Because there's, like I said, there's so many spam and phishing emails or tactics that are out there. And for those who don't know what a spam or what a phishing scheme is, basically it's this. You receive an email that appears to come from me because somebody used my name, right? So let's say today or in a little while, you receive an email that appears to come from Tom Madera looking for some kind of an assistance, whether it would be, hey, I'm thinking about sending phone cards to a couple of people who are in need, or hey, I'm thinking about opening up this little charity. Are you willing to help me? First and foremost, I wouldn't do that, right? Because that's just not what I do. Second of all, if you were to hover the mouse over my email or my name, you will actually see where the email comes from. And then you will realize it's not coming from me. It's just a fake email set up to look like it's coming from me to get you to click on the information that is inside. And once you do that, that's where the phishing and the scam comes in, because now they have entered your computer through what they call malware. All right, so now they have the information that they need because you provided that by clicking on the link that has a virus in it. All right, which helps get this information. So how do you avoid being this victim? Well, we already talked about it. Don't reveal personal or financial information in any email, any posting, or any personal data on social media or within your email. We just talked about the URL, which is the web address. Make sure that's legit. All right. Make sure it says .com and doesn't say .net or something else. The most popular web addresses are .com, .org, and .edu, right? .edu means it's coming from a learning institution, such as a university. .org is coming from a business, and .com is coming from an email like gmail.com, AOL.com, yahoo.com, SOCT.org, right? So that's a business. Yale.edu, that would be a learning institution, okay? If you're unsure or you just don't know if the email is legit, well, if you think that the email is from me, call me directly. Hey, Tom, did you just send me an email looking for phone cards? And obviously I'm going to tell you, no, I did not just send you this email. So now you're going to realize that this is a scam, right? So you want to be able to delete that email. One of the things I like about AOL, not just AOL, but a lot of the emails, companies do this now. If you're not familiar with an email address, it automatically goes to a spam filter. So again, you want to be able to, any email, don't open up emails just because you received an email. If you don't recognize where it came from, don't open the email. All right, that's just a tactic that we say to use. So what happens when you become a victim? If you think you're a victim of identity theft, that you can report to the police department, your local police department. They will take a report. Most everything else goes through really the federal government such as if you're constantly getting calls from telemarketers, you can go on a website that's called Do Not Register, or hold on a second, I had it. I think it's donotregister.com. Yeah, the Do Not Register call list is what it's called. So it's called the National Do Not Call Registry. So take this email address down. And this is another popular ULR is .gov. That means it's coming from the government. All right. So it's DONOT call, CALL.gov. So that's the National Do Not Call Registry. Basically what you do is you click on the link and they're going to ask you 3 questions. Do you want to report unwanted calls? Do you want to register your phone so that no one calls your phone? And do you want to verify your registration? Those are the only 3 options that you have on this website. So if you want to report unwanted calls, and that is either through your cell phone or via email, you click on the, it's a green tab. You just click on the green tab and they're going to ask you a couple of questions. They're going to ask you what the number was. They're going to ask you if it was a human that was talking or did it sound like a robot. And then they're going to ask you what the call was about. So lately on my work phone, I've been getting calls about my warranty on my vehicle is about to expire, right? Now, I own a 2007 Toyota. That warranty expired 12 years ago. All right. So I know that that is a bogus call. Now, funny, because on my work phone right now, I'm getting a call from New York, which I know is a bogus phone call. So it's funny how that's kind of going hand in hand right now. So again, I would take this number down. I would write it. I go to this website. I would fill in the blanks, and that's how I would record my call. So right now, the New York number started with a 643. So I would enter it in the box. I would put the day and time I received the phone call. It's going to ask, was the call a recorded message or a robocall? It's going to ask you, did you receive a phone call or a text message? And then a drop-down box on what was the call about. So those are the things that you can do to protect yourself online. All right. So again, using those safety issues. Now, scamming and phishing has been going on for hundreds of years. So this is not anything that's new. All right. What's new is they get more creative. And one of the latest things that they're doing is they're calling your number, hoping that you will answer the phone and say hello. And what they're doing is they're recording your voice so that what they're going to do next is they're going to try to find a family member, and they're going to call that family member next saying that they've kidnapped you and that they need X amount of dollars to return you, when in fact they obviously did not. But they have your voice because you answered a call and they recorded it, right? So now what do you do in cases like that? Well, obviously, if you think that somebody has kidnapped somebody you know, what are you going to do? You're going to call that person up, right? You're going to say, hey, just want to make sure you're not kidnapped, because that's what happens. These calls go, and the hard part is these calls are hard to trace. Most of the calls come from England or come from another country across the pond, so to speak. So it's hard to trace who's actually doing these calls. So again, it's very important to make sure that you stay safe on the internet by not just opening everything you see. All right. If you're not familiar with where it came from or who the person is, do not click on it. Especially if you do click on it, do not click on any of the links that are inside this email. All right. Because that's where the scamming and the phishing and everything all comes together. All right. Let's switch gears a little and go to social media. I see many of you on social media. All right. And I think it's great because you're all doing a great, fantastic job promoting Special Olympics, promoting yourselves. So what do we do when now you feel maybe you've been attacked on social media because of who you represent, right? You not only represent you represent Special Olympics, you represent global messengers, you represent law enforcement, right? And right now, law enforcement really isn't well received in the country these days, right? So you may post something that is very proactive, pro law enforcement, and then somebody you don't know, never seen before, is going to respond to that post negatively, right? So what are we going to do? First of all, know your audience, right? Your first reaction should not be to respond back, right? There are cruel people everywhere, okay? And unfortunately, they troll social media looking to start issues, looking to engage people in negativity. So don't get caught up in all that. Be careful what you post, all right? Because people don't know who you are. They don't know about you. They don't know why you post what you post and why you support the causes that you support. So, you know, it shouldn't come as a surprise that people are going to respond negatively to you. But don't take it personal. B, don't think that your first reaction needs to be a reaction. All right. You can ignore those people and you can block those people from your social media pages. All right. So be careful what you post. Keep in mind that what you do post, regardless of whether you delete it or not, never goes away. All right. I do this whole course for our college. When I was back at Eastern, I would do this 30 minutes segment on Facebook, right? Because everybody likes to post things on Facebook. And I also coach softball at Eastern. So our softball players had a policy that we couldn't drink during season. And people would think that they posted a picture and deleted it, we would never find it. Well, that's not true. Facebook owns everything. All right. Just because you delete a picture or a post, yeah, maybe delete it from your screen, but it's not deleted from the system because Facebook will always have that picture. And don't think that by changing your name on social media that changes your who you are on social media. So if today, as Tom Madera, I post something that's really negative, and then all of a sudden I have this, oh boy, I'm going to be in trouble, that I may lose my job, and I go in and change my name to Madera Tom, let's just say, everything I just posted still falls under Tom Madera. All right. So you can change your name 1,000 times, but it always stays the same to the original name that you gave yourself when you signed up for social media. All right. So these things never go away. So just be cognizant, be careful, be aware of what you're posting. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not saying that you have to change your beliefs or what you're doing, but just know that there are people out there looking to engage others in bad activity because of what you believe in or who you are. All right. So if you think you may regret it somewhere down the road, then it's probably not right to post, right? If you think you're going to get some negative feedback that you probably or think that you may not be able to handle, don't post it. It's not worth it. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? Does that, sound like what we should be doing, right? So other ways that we can keep safe, whether online, through email, or through social media, is, again, try not to give away too much of your information. There are people that are out there that are always looking to be friends. They may appear as a friend, but they're really not. They're hacking social media accounts daily. And I'll give you an example. If I was to go on my Facebook page right now, which I'm going to, give me a second. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 friend requests. from people who I've already know are my friends. All right. Now, I'm not going to go back in this and confirm them because the chances are that somebody has hacked that account. And now they have all my information, right? So if there was somebody here that I knew, there's a couple of good friends of mine right here, I am going to call them and say, hey, or send them a text. Hey, did you just send me a recent friend request on Facebook? 9 out of 10 times they're going to tell me no. And then I'm just going to delete that request so I don't hit it by accident somewhere down the road. All right. Does that make sense? Especially for those who do use Facebook. I don't use it a lot, to be honest with you. I only use it when I'm doing a fundraising event for Special Olympics. I'm just not a big social media fan. I just really want to limit my exposure on social media. But if I'm doing something for Special Olympics, and you'll see my post, or if I'm doing something for the torch run, then I'll use Facebook. But like I said, right now I have it popped up. The first 10, I already know these people, and I already know that we have been friends before, and they're using the same name. So like I said, before I click confirm, I'm going to text them and say, hey, look, did you just send me a request? So be careful of that kind of a scam as well, where the same person, you keep getting friend requests time and time again, maybe months or weeks apart, and it's the same person. Be careful clicking on that confirm, because 9 out of 10 times, the likelihood that that Facebook account has been hacked is really good. All right, so now you become part of the system. So trying to think what else, Deb. What else? I'm pulling up your notes now, so I'm going to grab that and discuss a few situations that some of us have had. We'll talk about those, and then I'll answer questions as we go along.
That sounds perfect.
Let's see. I got to throw my glasses on because I'm getting old. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, right. Looking cool, right?
You're not old though. Trust me, you're not old. Believe me,
I'm
I got
not,
glasses
right?
on too.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
Look good.
you're good. You're good.
So basically, take them off is what you're telling me. Thanks,
No,
guys. Love the
this is
support.
on there
Thank you.
now, so. See, I have mine's on right now. See, I can see you very clearly though. So you good.
Well, see, now I can see clearly well too. See?
There you go.
Right. Exactly. I may not look as good, but I'm all right. I'm holding my own.
There
Give
you
me a
go.
minute here.
Attaboy.
All right, you're looking good. You're looking good with those glasses on. All right, so we talked about the first one, about respecting social boundaries online. And again, listen, at the end of the day, there are going to be those people who are looking to hurt others one way, whether it's through pictures, through words, through comments. The guidelines that I would set up for myself is I normally don't respond to people on Facebook that I do not know. Not to be rude, not to think that I'm better than anybody, but to me, there's just no point in engaging in a useless conversation for somebody that I just don't recognize the name of, or they just don't like the cause that I am associated with. Sorry, just don't have time for that. So again, just be careful what you're posting. Be careful who you're responding to. And listen, at the end of the day, even if you feel obligated to respond to somebody, make it positive. Hey, I'm sorry you feel this way, but this is what I believe in, and just call it a day. But to me, the best thing to do is not respond at all, because all you're doing now is entertaining another response back. All right. So now it becomes an endless cycle that you don't need. All right. So if you don't recognize somebody, don't respond. I don't think you're going to hurt their feelings if you don't respond, especially if it's somebody you don't know. Now, let's talk about what happens if it's somebody you do know, right? And I'm going to use me as an example because you all know me. So where's my boy, Ryan Pajoli?
Right here.
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
All right. So let's say Ryan posts something today on Facebook, right? Or I post something today on Facebook and Ryan responds back negatively. How are we going to handle that, right? Now, I know Ryan. Ryan knows me. So am I just going to ignore Ryan? Probably not, right? Because I know Ryan. So how do we do that? How do I respond back to Ryan without hurting his feelings, one way or the other? And yeah, Matt, I got you. I know you too. How do I do that? You do it with respect and kind words, right? If Ryan doesn't like what I posted or doesn't feel what I posted met his beliefs or whatnot, he has that right to do that. I mean, that's what we have the First Amendment for. No, Angie, I will not ignore you. What I would say to Ryan is, I'm sorry you don't feel this way. And I respect that, and I respect your thoughts and your beliefs, but this is how I feel, and this is why I posted it, right? It's soft, it's kind, it's being respectful, I'm not being mean to Ryan. Everybody has their own thoughts, and nobody has to believe everything I believe in, just like I don't have to believe in everything you believe in. But we can interact on the internet, whether it's through email or through social media, respectfully, by respecting everybody's thoughts and everybody's opinions, right? So just because you don't like my opinion or didn't like what I posted doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong because you don't like it. But let's be professional about it. We're global messengers, right? So we are held to a higher standard, right? Because we have been chosen to be global messengers. So we're a little bit held to a higher standard above the rest of the athletes because you represent all global messengers worldwide, right? So let's not get into that argument back and forth, disagreeing. Listen, we can agree to disagree. Sound fair, right? As long as we do it
Yes.
respectfully without hurting anybody's feelings. All right, so that was one issue that I saw. There was another issue, I think we talked about that, regarding, phone cards or helping friends who may be sick with COVID or maybe sick with cancer or some other kind of really debilitating health crisis where they need our help, right? So we want to avoid any of that. We want to avoid sending any kind of money through the phone, through the email. You want to confirm who that person is first by calling them, or just simply delete the email totally. Like I said, 9 out of 10 times, these emails, these messages you see on Facebook, Instagram, social media, Snapchat, and everything are just scam tactics to get you to feed your information into the system. All right. Again, most police departments won't handle your basic scam call. The only thing that the police department will handle if you are truly a victim of identity theft, that you can truly prove someone stole your information and they're using your information for their own personal gain. To give you some background, personally, I was a victim twice, way back in the day. So when I was married the first time, somebody took out credit cards in my name and in my ex-wife's name. And then they were going to the bank and they were cashing large sum checks in my name or in my wife's name too. And luckily, people are stupid, right? Criminals aren't smart, or we wouldn't have filled jails. They would go to the same bank every week. And this one time they actually went to the same teller twice in the same week. So that raised a red flag for the teller, who then called the police department. And it turned out that these people were robbing mail in my neighborhood. And I was getting calls from Sears about, I had $10,000 worth of furniture ready to be delivered that I didn't even buy. Somebody got into a bad car accident and the car was registered in my ex-wife's name. So the police were calling me looking for my ex-wife. So these things do happen. These scams do happen. So in that case, then you would go to the police department and file a report, and they will take that report. And then you have to go through a whole bunch of series of things to do, and maybe we can make that a call later on down the road. But the police department will handle any identity theft calls. Spam issues on social media, really not much the police department can do. And it's not because they don't want to help you. It's because it's hard to track where it actually originated from. So when you're on the internet, these things can come from all over the world. So the police department really is only obligated to the town and it's hard to decipher where these things originated. And that's why they don't deal with telemarketers or any kind of spam email, and only identity theft. And I think there was another one. Let's see, one more. Nope, I believe that was, then there was one other question about what do you do with your location services? Should that be on all the time? Personal hotspots? What I would say this, if you're not in your own home and using your own Wi-Fi, and you decide to go to Starbucks, Panera, and you're using their Wi-Fi, that's a public Wi-Fi. That means anybody can hack that Wi-Fi and get your information. So I would put the location on private. I would put yourself on private if you had to use that Wi-Fi. I tried to discourage people from using public Wi-Fi for that reason, because you don't know that the person who's sitting behind you having coffee, is it the one on the internet scamming? Is it the one trying to get your, is it the one hacking the service provided by Starbucks or Panera? And once they hack that service, whoever is on at the time, they can also hack your information. All right. So I try to discourage people from using public Wi-Fi. Most carriers now have plans where the data is relatively cheap. So if you are leaving your home, turn the Wi-Fi off and just use your data plan. It's a lot safer, and you can trust it a little bit more. Using public Wi-Fi really isn't that secure, because you don't know who's around you and who's trying to hack into the system. All right, does that make sense? All right, and I know we forget these things. Trust me, I forget it too. All right, but I try not to have my Wi-Fi on once I leave the house. All right, the only time my Wi-Fi is on is when I'm here at work or I'm home. Every other time, I'm on my data plan. All right, so it's about all I have for now. Debbie, you want me to add anything else? Talk about anything else? Anybody have a question? Or?
Well, why don't we open it up for questions? I think that's a great idea. Let's raise our hands. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Let's see. Okay, I see Alicia, I see Ryan, and I see Aaron. So let's go in that order. Go ahead, Alicia.
What's the question before you go on?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Did you have a question, Alicia? Oh, I think you're unmute. Okay, I have to unmute everybody. Or if you guys can unmute yourself, that would be great. I'm going to cancel that. All right. So, Alicia, what was your question?
She's on mute.
I think she's still on mute.
Still on mute.
It's
Okay.
still mute.
See, I thought I canceled it. Let's see.
All right, so why don't we do this? If you have a question, unmute yourself.
Mhm.
So it should be in the lower left screen.
I already did it. Got it.
All right.
Good. By myself. Hey, Tom, you know what? This year, right, when my phone got stolen, right? I was so mad. And then I got my new phone. I got it through AT&T. I don't have Facebook. Nothing like that at all. I got my own pictures, right? So I use my own pictures.
Okay.
And then I have this other app. It's called Tiny Beans for babies.
Okay.
So I have that.
All right.
Whoa.
So the same rules apply regardless of what social media platform you're using. Be careful of the information that you're sending and sharing.
Yep.
And be careful. Send things that are appropriate, of course. But just know that once you upload something into that system, it's there. Even if you delete it, it's always there.
But they did. I get deleted my new phone because I got one because my phone got stolen.
Right. So when you got your new phone, did you reapply the apps to the new phone?
Yeah.
Were you able to pull up everything you had previous?
Well, what they did.
Okay. So they helped you.
For AT&T, and I didn't get it for Apple.
Oh, fantastic. So AT&T helped you.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Huh? I got my emails, I got my Comcast and my Gmail.
Okay, so they took care of all that for you, right?
Yeah, they quoted it.
Excellent.
I like, wow. And we just saw my,
What
because
question do I have?
you supposed to use your phone number. We got, I accept the cemetery.
Okay.
And rent, right? And they have to use, yeah, so we had to use my number when my phone got stolen, but they showed all my mom's, not mine.
So there's another new scam going around. It happened at Yale last week where people on the street are walking up to strangers asking them to use their phone. And what they're doing is they're depositing money from that phone into their account. So basically how it works is I see Jackie on the street. I walk up to Jackie and I say, hey, Jackie, I'm in an emergency. Can I use your phone real quick? Jackie wants to be nice. She says yes. Jackie's got an Apple phone. I go into her Apple Pay and I send myself a text for $500. So there's all these scams going on. So be careful when people ask to use your phone. Don't be afraid to say no.
I personally carry around like what with me now. Like for the parents here, that's where it happened.
Right. Someone stole the phone, right?
Yeah. And they opened that car door.
Right. So you just got to be a little bit more careful then, right? It's gonna be, recognize your surroundings and.
You post it like your doors.
Right. Okay.
But they don't.
Megan, I see you have your hand up. What do you got, Meg?
I have Instagram, so if I have Instagram, like for example, like I like John Cena, so I made a mistake one time, and I always see have a blue star on the side, and I hit that, and that is like a famous person, so I hit the famous star. You will see a blue star on Instagram. You hit it, and then I just go right in and then I'm good to go.
Good. Okay. So you like that feature?
Yeah, if it's anything famous, I'll just do that.
All right. And
But
just
I
be
have to go
careful too. Like
anyways.
I know people who have gotten fired and lost their jobs because of things that they liked on social media that didn't meet policies or the general public's perception. So be careful what you're liking on social media as well. Make sure it's appropriate before you start clicking all these buttons. Go ahead, Allison.
I got 3 questions to ask you.
Whoa,
Hopefully you can help
listen,
me.
the first one's free. The next 2 are fundraisers. It's $10 a question.
Funny, Tommy. Okay, first one is I have a Shell friend who's a police cop. If in case of emergency, should I ask him for anything like for spam or something?
So you're gonna what are you gonna ask him for, like scams?
Well, like in case, like if I have a problem, should I go right to him right away, or should I wait to call the police first?
Well, it depends on what the issue is, Allie, because some police departments won't deal with scams, right? It just depends on what it is. So if it's identity theft, they'll deal with it. If it's just a scam, as long as you don't send anything, there's nothing for the police to do. But if you think you're a victim of a scam and you accidentally sent money because of the scam, then you can go to the police and hopefully they can help you track it down. But for the most part, like I said to you earlier, it's hard for us to investigate where they come from because they can generate from anywhere around the world. So it does take some work. Not to say that the police won't help you, but I would just be careful as to when and why you would call the police asking them for their help.
Yeah, and my other question I was going to ask, I had this new job recently. It's all right if I give them information like in case emergency or something?
That's correct, yep, because they're going to, God forbid something happens to you at work, they know to call your mom and dad or anybody else you have on that list.
They
Stuff
sort of
like
taught
that
me
is
that.
okay because that's important.
Now, what about like with doctors or dentists, like in case of appointments?
Yeah, her name's right there.
Yep, you can give the doctor your information. Absolutely, yep.
Because
These are
they need
important
stuff
people.
to learn.
Yep.
Yeah. And what's the difference between scam and the phishing you mentioned? I'm a little confused with that.
So when someone is phishing you, they're trying to get information from you, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
they do it through emails, right? So spam
Right.
could be an email saying, hey, if you click
Okay.
on this link, you're gonna win the African lottery that's worth $5 million.
Oh, stupid.
Right? So, so a lot of spam requires contacting people with unwanted requests, unwanted contact, or like your email box or your message box in Facebook gets a bunch of messages. It's like all of a sudden you have 20 messages from 20 different people. They're posting links. They're telling you to click on this image. It may look like they may send you an image of a Special Olympic logo, right? And they may say, okay, click on this link. But the link is actually a scam that's going to suck out your information through a virus on your phone or on your email. So although it may look like a Special Olympics Connecticut logo, the logo is actually attached to a virus.
Because our phone is always potential spam. I always erase that.
Right. So like I said, a lot of the phone companies are now getting updated with this stuff so they can alert you ahead of time that it's a spam phone call or spam risk or a telemarketer calling. So this way you know, right? Any kind of phishing scam works the same way. Sometimes they just give it two different names. Ryan, what do you got, Ryan?
Yeah, my question for you is that I know a friend whose father got hacked for selling race cars.
Really?
Wow.
Really? Yes, I can't mention the name.
No, you can't.
Okay, so what happened?
What happened was that it was, Mom, help me out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The race car one. Cars.
Cards. No,
Cards.
it was T-Mobile cards.
T-Mobile cars.
Yeah. Yep. So
Yeah,
we talked about that, right? So I send you an email saying, hey, Ryan, help me out. I want to send some T-Mobile cards to Jackie because Jackie's really sick, right? But Jackie isn't, right? But I just want these cards. So you're going to send them to me. So that's spam, right? So that's what we're talking about. So that's considered a good or a service. Whereas, like I was telling Allie, phishing, I'm looking to steal your login credentials, right? So let's say, so a good phishing scam would be for me to try to get the login information to your bank account so that I can start depositing or withdrawing money from your account. So two different tactics, right? Spam is I'm trying to get a good or a product from you. Phishing is I'm trying to get credentials from you so that I can log into your private areas, which means your bank accounts, your credit card accounts. And then what I do is I start opening up bank accounts in my name, right? So once I steal your password to your bank account, now I have all your banking info. Next thing I do is I open up credit cards in my name.
What?
Or your name, but I'm using them. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Am I making a little bit more sense now as far as what the difference is between the two are? Anybody else have a question?
Tom, we have a question coming in from Bobby. We have a couple questions in the chat.
Okay.
Bobby asks, where's your question here, Bobby? I think you wanted to know how long Tom's been in the law enforcement torch run. Is that correct?
Ah.
Since I got started with Special Olympics in 1995 at the World Games in New Haven.
That's when I first started Special.
Yeah, that was the World Games in New
That's when
Haven.
I first helped out.
I was working at Yale at the time. And I would say I officially started law enforcement torch run when I got to Southern in 99 and then became the team captain in 2000. So I would say 2000, so roughly 20 years with torch run,
Whoa.
but 25 with Special Olympics.
Wow, that's amazing,
I think
Thomas.
Yeah.
Becca had a question next, Tom.
Okay.
Good.
Becca, your question?
Yeah. So so let's say that someone is not like respecting like your space and stuff on like social media. How would you handle that? Like, like your boundaries or anything, like, like it's important to do that, you know what I'm saying?
It is important, Becca, to do that. And one of the ways I do it is I just block those people from contacting me. You know what I'm saying? It's non-confrontational. You don't have to reply to anybody. So if I'm being rude or disrespectful to you on social media, then just block me. Block me from contacting you again. This way now you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. All right.
Aaron, what do you got, Aaron?
Well, I have a couple questions though. I was mostly gonna tell people to let people know that if you guys have if you guys have cable system, like a cable system, like if you have some listeners who call you for something that's mostly really important, like say if you have threats and all that, first thing I usually do is I don't even answer it because I let the answer machine take over. Because
Hi, Becky.
Bye, guys.
Guys, you got too much people mostly giving you information. That's one thing. The second thing I would mostly not do is if you're going to like say a public restaurant or somewhere like that, always turn off your Wi-Fi. So when if people don't want to give, like you don't want to give them information though. That's one thing. That's the other thing you don't want to do. And then the last thing I'm mostly gonna put is making sure like you know your surroundings though, because number one, you're not gonna know exactly what's around you and everything else though. And number two, you need to make sure you have everything else with you. Like if you need to call your mom for emergency, that's the person you should call. If you need to call your dad for emergency. If you have relatives in your family, call them and everything else though, because that right there, you know exactly who's calling you though, because that when you have your call ID on your phone, they know exactly who you are. That's all.
That's what I have too with the contact.
Yeah.
Great.
Either my dad or Christina, my hairdresser, like that. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
the other thing
we have
is,
a couple more questions, guys. Let's be cognizant of time. It's about 4 to 5, and I want to be respectful of Tom's time. I know we have a couple more questions, so let's get some questions for people that haven't asked any questions yet.
I have a question.
Okay.
Dan's hand up, and actually Nick asked a question through chat. He wanted to know what you do at Yale, Tom.
So right now I am a supervisor for the security department. So I run second shift.
Great. So why don't we go to Dan and then we'll go to Matt.
Tom,
Dan.
my name is Dan Whiting.
I know you, Dan Whiting. How are you?
I wanted to talk to you here, and we have a problem here, and we have robocalls here, and people from Tillamook called here, and the people from elections called here, but I need your opinion.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do for everybody so I can help everybody out. I'm going to send Debbie a couple of links. The first link is going to be the do not call registry link so that you can register your cell phone numbers to this link and to slow down all these robocalls. It doesn't stop it altogether, but it will slow it down. Okay. Also, it gives you the opportunity to report these numbers as well. So I'm going to send Debbie an email with that link. And then I'm also going to send Debbie an email with all the differences between spam, phishing, ransomware, spoofing, all these terms that they're using across the internet so that you know what to do and what not to do. All right?
Thank you, Tom.
This way we can be a little bit more clearer as to the difference between what spam is and what phishing is. Like I said, spam is just looking for goods and services, where phishing is looking for your personal information, such as passwords, credit card accounts, account numbers, bank account numbers.
Right.
That's how they get into your personal information. But I'm going to send Debbie this email. Hopefully she can send it out to all the global messengers. And again, with the link to how to register your cell phone so that you can stop the calls and report the calls. How does that sound for everybody?
Thank
Good.
you.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll do
Tommy,
that. I'll do
can I-
that tonight.
Can I
Thank you.
still like contact my job coach for information and stuff? Because sometimes he wants information.
Well, what's he want?
Well, sometimes like when I have my meetings with my case manager, she needs to like find out like what I do for my job and all that. That's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're doing it for business reasons.
It is for business.
All right.
Always business.
Matt, what do you got, Matt?
I got is that could, if someone asked me for help with money or help with, like, if I get a text message saying, can you help me with something, and or can you send me some money, and I've been sending him a message saying no, thank you.
Don't
And-
reply to those. There's no need to
No.
reply to those messages at all.
And then
Because sometimes just a reply alone is enough for them to scam into your system.
Right.
If you don't recognize who the person is, delete it and block them from your phone.
Yep.
if someone asked me for, when I was in Hartford, this woman came up to me and say, do you have any money? And
Tell them no.
I said, I said no, and I walked away.
Good.
Yep, very good.
Very
Yep, that's what
good.
you should do. Yep, very
Good
good.
job.
Yeah.
Also, Tom,
So,
can you send me a patch and the shirt?
patch and a shirt. So now you're phishing me. You're scamming me now, right?
As a friend. As a friend.
Wow, you guys learned well. That was quick.
As a friend, Tom. As a friend.
I tell you what, you send Debbie your address, and I will do my best to get you a patch to your house. How's that?
As a friend, Tom.
Matt, I will send anything to you, Matt. But nice
Oh,
job.
I
See,
miss
that's how
you.
see how easy scammers work?
I miss you, Tom.
I miss you guys too.
Scammers,
Yeah, I
Tom.
miss you too, Tom.
Okay, it's just about 5 o'clock. Is there anybody that hasn't asked a question yet that has a
Angie's
question?
got a question. Go ahead, Angie.
Angie?
Yes, I know that you were talking about going to a place with private security. How do you do that on your phone, or how do you know that you can't do that?
So if you, let me see if I can pull it up right here. Hold on. If you go to your settings,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you'll see, like I don't know if you can see it. So it's kind of like backwards. So you
Okay.
see how I have 5 settings here?
Yeah.
It says airplane mode, Wi-Fi,
Yep.
Bluetooth, cellular, and hotspot, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so right now my Wi-Fi is on because I'm at work and I'm using the Yale Wi-Fi. It's secure because it says it right on there, secure. But you'll notice that my personal hotspot is off. See how
Okay.
it says off?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I drive around the town. And the last thing I want to be is having my hotspot on as I'm driving around, which may give somebody access to enter it. All right, so that's one way that you can do that. Turn off the hotspot. Mine's off. Now, if I wasn't at work, all I would do is I would hit the Wi-Fi and
Yeah.
just turn my Wi-Fi off, and I'd call it a day.
But
Now I'm
how do
using
you
my
make it
data.
private?
How do I make it private? That's a good question.
Yeah, because that's what you were saying before.
So you see on the bottom where it says, so see, all right, hold on, let me go back one. So you see, if you go down, if you scroll down the screen, it gives you a list of other activities.
Uh-huh.
See at the bottom here, it says privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that
So
too.
you would click on privacy. Now
Yeah.
it brings me to another screen.
Yeah,
And see how it says location?
yeah.
See, right now, my location services are on because I'm at
Yeah.
work. I would just shut that off.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
Angie,
Tom.
anything for you, Angie.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
I think we'll wrap it up. I think if anybody
Tom.
has any, additional questions, you can email them to me and I could try to get them to Tom. And he'll send me the information. I'll be sure to pass it along to all of you. I think this has been an incredibly valuable, important, helpful, insightful session. So I think we should give Tom a big round of applause and thank you for his time and expertise.
So listen, let me throw this out here because I enjoy doing these things. So if there's another topic that you are all interested in discussing, I can work with Debbie. We can do this maybe bi-weekly or once a month or whatever, like whatever you guys want. But let's pick a topic of concern that you all are interested in, and it could be anything.
Thank you, Tom.
I don't care. We'll talk about anything. But if
you,
there's
Tom.
another topic that you want to talk about, why don't you get with Debbie and let's talk about it maybe another time in a couple of weeks. We can do this again.
Yep.
Great.
All right. That sound like a plan?
Say bye.
Yeah.
We'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
All
Bye,
right.
Tommy.
It was a pleasure, guys. See you guys all later.
Hi, Jackie.
Jackie.
Miss you all.
I love you too, guys.
Hi, Jackie.